Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevating Your Life with Paula Vail. I am just happy to have you tune in again. Just another fantastic guest. We're going to have fun today. And I am chatting with a fellow Washington State girl, but she is in California at the moment. We have with us today Ningay Singh, and she facilitates the art of emotional expression and soul-felt connection. Her new course, 8 Secrets to Reclaiming Childlike Wonder and Ageless Wisdom, teaches simple energy flow principles that offer solutions for living optimally, creatively, and soulfully. Drawing upon her expertise in eco-psychology, counseling, and expressive therapies, Ningay shares her unique talents with the hope of bringing a welcome touch of nature's presence and power into our everyday lives. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. And yes, doesn't that do so much when we connect with Mother Nature? So first off, Ningay, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Paula.
Oh,
how exciting to hear all that about myself.
Yes, it's so fun. Well, tell the audience a little more about your background and kind of what brought you into doing what you're doing. And you've also authored a book, and you're now doing these courses. Tell us a bit more of your background and history, please.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's start with my name, Ningay, because it's pretty unique. It is my Chinese name. I'm half Chinese and half German. It was given to me actually at birth by my Chinese grandmother, Bessie, and it means patience. It took me a number of years. I didn't always use that name. When my daughter was born, I started to use Ningay instead of Nancy, which was my American name. And my Chinese relatives had been kind of gone by that time, so I took it back. It means patience, and I think my Chinese grandmother knew that I would be a late bloomer and it would take patience. So that's that part of that. That goes back to my birth. And then I spent a lot of time in nature as a child. You know, this was the 50s, and that's what we did. We were out after school. We were out all the time by myself. I'd be down at the creek. And we also camped in Lake Tahoe and fished because my dad was an avid outdoors person. So I think that really, sunk in my love of being outdoors and really connected. There was a time in my midlife, after my daughter was born, I literally couldn't stand to sleep inside. I used to camp outside, even in the winter, in my little cot and my sleeping bag. I loved it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's kind of part of me. And with that being said, I'm also kind of a gypsy spirit. I don't all the time have a permanent home. I love to, discover new places, especially in nature, especially really wonderful, beautiful places, and go to them and spend time there and live outdoors.
Oh, I love
So that's that part of me. And it's sort of led the passion for not just nature, but understanding human nature led me to eco-psychology. When I discovered that was an actual major you could have in college, I went to college, and then I got my degrees in counseling and expressive arts therapy, which I'd always kind of been doing because I considered myself an expressive artist. I never had a talent for one thing or a very big talent. I would have loved to have been a singer, but that wasn't really the voice I had. But I had this ability to allow the energy of nature, the energy of my emotions to really flow and to let it come through and be expressed through art, music, any kind of creativity, movement, sound, just those kinds of very basic, simple, childlike expressions that we don't really often let ourselves do. And I found that it was actually tremendously healing. As a matter of fact, I healed an eating disorder with nature and expressive arts. And that was many, many years ago, before they kind of even knew what they were.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I just love your stories. Oh, it's reminding me of when I was young and my horse was my best friend, and I would just be off all day up the logging roads, riding my horse in nature.
Oh, I thought of that the other day, Paula, because we used to ride horses. We just get on them without saddles. And
Yes,
I
didn't
remember
have a
being
saddle.
bucked off, kicked
No,
off. And I
no.
thought to myself, they let us do that? Our parents let us do that? Yeah, it was a much more wild ride back then with
Oh,
nature.
oh my gosh. Well, Ningay, what would you say about why it's important for us to connect with nature and earth, especially as we get older? What do you have to say about that?
Oh gosh, what I'd love to say about that is the obvious thing that happened for me, especially around the time I turned 60, is I don't know why it all seemed to hit at one time, but I started noticing my skin was changing, it was loose or saggy, or I started noticing odd physical symptoms. And it kind of freaked me out. I thought, oh my gosh. And of course, I noticed that I didn't have as much energy or energy to burn, or, just like I had it before. And the fact of the matter is, I really think this now, looking back at how life has it set up for us, that as we get older, because we don't have that energy to burn, we don't burn it, we don't waste it. And when we plug into nature, when we connect with nature, we get to discover that nature gives us that energy.
Oh,
And we don't have to depend on our own as much. And I think, honestly, it's part of how it's meant to be. Our transition to ultimately the other side is we lean more and more on the spirit of life for our own internal sustenance, so that when it's time to pass over, it's not such a huge transition. We're already kind of there. We know where our source is, and we've been drawing on it for a number of years. So that's sort of where the whole project, the course and the Wisdom and Wonder Legacy Project, really got birthed, is from that place in me that recognized, people as they age, why do they tend to get more rigid, more set in their ways, obviously sometimes more crotchety because they're probably aching, but the tendency seems to get more narrow. When I thought, I don't think it has to be that way. What if we intentionally got more expanded, really consciously made that choice to live more on the edge, to keep, challenging ourselves out of our comfort zone a bit? What would we be like, especially us baby boomers, as a generation moving into those golden years? How can we do it differently? We're going to do it differently anyway. We're baby boomers, right? We already are. We've done everything differently than the generation before us, which was the silent generation, our parents, and we're definitely not that. So I think that with nature kind of on our side and learning to really plug in to how nature is feeding us energy, then we're going to be just a lot more solid in our source.
yes, yes. And, it's almost like nature can give us a recharge. It really can. And then, what I always try to remind myself of is my energy. I mean, it's part of nature, and nature's part of me. We are so connected to everything. And, when we need a recharge, just going out and, maybe looking at the trees, listening to the birds, it can make you feel good.
It sure does. As a matter of fact, that brings me to, if you go to my website, wisdom-wonder.com, it'll say, welcome to the Wisdom and Wonder Legacy Project. And on there, if you sign in for emails, I will send you my free gift, which is called From Stressed to Blessed. And it's about going and connecting with a tree, with nature, and sitting there and letting it feed you. Because that's absolutely, there's a whole module in the course about, it's called Making Your Energy Count. And it's about learning to really open to receive the energy of nature that's flowing through us anyway. We just need to let it in, and to not have to use artificial stimulants to get us energy like coffee and things like that.
Oh, and that's so true. I mean, there are so many times we do use an artificial stimulant, don't we? And nature
Yes.
can do so much for us. So
And
tell us more about your course. This sounds so fascinating. What can people kind of expect to experience and have happen when they sign up for your course?
okay, well, the course is offered in 2 levels. It's called 8 Secrets to Reclaiming Childlike Wonder and Ageless Wisdom. And I've set it up in 2 levels because the first level is really about the foundation that we've been talking about here so far, connecting with nature, connecting with ourselves, really getting in touch with our authentic core and communicating from that place, because that's one of the things that really aligns us with nature's harmonious vibe. And then the second level of the course is more about the creative process and where that takes us, the energy of creativity and passion.
Yeah.
That movement energy. So the first part is more settle in energy, and the second part is the movement energy. So it's the first half is 4 modules, and we'll be starting it on February 20. What people can expect to get out of it, I would say, since this is my pilot, so we haven't done it before, they can expect to have it be an experiment to some degree, but also what I love about nature and the energy of life in general is that if we give it space, it will take us to new levels, new heights, new expansions. So the course is very much about dropping out of our brain thinking rational minds and into our huger body intelligence, the big body brain. And it's so fun. I mean, I say the course is fun, but that's for people who know that they really enjoy being able to color outside the lines of the social taboos, for one, really let themselves drop into being childlike again. And I don't mean, there's a lot of talk and a lot of research out there about the importance of play for adults. But we're not talking about going out and golfing or, hitting a few, because those are really adult playful activities. We're talking about more childlike things. So that leans us toward the creative side and the playful side. So we'll be doing that, of course. And let's see, what else can they get out of it? They will, a brand new you, how do you like that? The best version of yourself, because I'm going to stretch people a bit so that they really get to come out of their shell and their box and the place we've been comfortable in, especially as we get older. The place we've been comfortable in, we're going to stretch a little bit so you can start seeing who else is there. Because there's a lot more of us available than we've been touching, really. We've just been used to, and a lot of it is habitual. We've just been used to living a certain way. But once we start tugging on that a little bit and offering up some new ideas about things, I think we're like kids. We do like to change and grow and discover new things.
Yes, yes. And we're never too old to do that, are we?
I do not believe we are, except for what I got to see in my own unfolding around 60, is that I was amazed at how much my thinking patterns wanted to just close down around me, wanted to get rigid and, oh, this is how it is, do that whole generalization thing about this is how life is. I've lived long enough now and I know this is how it is. Well, people don't tell us enough that that's how it is then, doesn't have to be how it is again.
Yes.
So it's a lot about changing our consciousness, as it is right now these days on the planet. So much of what is happening through COVID, post-COVID, is we've had to really shift internally, change how we think, change how we do things. And that's already, shaken us up a bit. So we're really ripe, So those of you who are at a stage in your life, maybe you're getting ready to retire, maybe you're going through a really tricky time in your life, some kind of transition, or maybe you've always wanted to express yourself more or let your artist side out more, especially now that you're getting older and you have the time and maybe some space and money to do things that make you happy in that way. So that's kind of where I am with that.
Yes.
And we'll see, because like I said, it hasn't been done yet. So it's also going to get created out of the people who show up, because what they want, their intention, it's like a big cauldron of energy. I call it like a soup pot. And I think that one of the big differences in how I teach and who I am is we're used to support groups, where we go, we encourage each other, we can kind of, rant and complain and people will listen to us. This isn't like that. This is actually more, the soup pot is about all feelings are welcome, but you get to sit in them. You don't get to try to get out of them or push them or change them or talk yourself out of them. You get to really let them alchemize, because I trust the feeling process, because they're part of creative energy. They're part of nature's energy. Nature gave us lots of emotions. That's because it's the lifeblood of being human. And when we can gracefully allow them to move and flow through us, then we are really very energized by that.
Yeah.
And creative energy comes through us. So I teach people how to be what I call emotionally fluid. And that in itself is kind of a big task and a fun task. And some people might think it's a scary task, but once again, only because we've been taught to be so, closed down around our emotional flow. It doesn't have to be that way. So you get an opportunity to have fun with that in the course.
Yeah.
It's a very different course, I think, in a lot of ways. I'm very different and unique. I have not been, even though I would say my leanings are much more toward the spiritual, cultural creatives, coming from that place and generation. I'm even out there kind of on the fringes, in that I've never really been able to follow a teacher or a guru or a method or a path. And I always wanted to when I was younger, in my early 30s and 40s even, but it just didn't happen for me. I kept going back to a direct line through nature to source. And because of that, my work teaches that. That's what it teaches for people. This is not my way. My way will help you open the door to your way. Yes. But your way is your path. It's what source calls you to do. And it might look totally different than mine.
I love it. I'm picturing opening a window. Yes. And, letting our own emotions, accepting them, letting them through, but also letting the sun in, letting the
Exactly.
creativity, so much when we open that
Exactly.
window. That's what I'm feeling from this.
I love the window metaphor. That's a great metaphor. I use the metaphor of here's a door. If you want to go through that door, emotionally, you've got to stand in front of that door, meaning you've got to be where you are. We are always trying to wiggle out of our emotions, right? Especially the ones that are uncomfortable and we don't really want. And of course, the ones that have history. Oh gosh, get those behind us, right? But the fact of the matter is, life does not move us forward, in case you haven't noticed, until we're willing to really stand in the presence of what we are truly experiencing and feeling. And then the expansion begins to happen organically. And it's what I love about the energy of nature and the creative process, and what I call the creative cauldron, is that it really does alchemize us. It requires us to let go, to die a little, so that we can be born and something new can happen from us. That is the creative process. And we just don't get enough support for any of what I'm talking about out there in the world oftentimes. And so, like children, we don't give ourselves permission because we didn't give children permission. So now we're kind of that adult presence that's saying, no, you can't do that. So we get to break out of that.
Get out of that. I love it. I love it. I am wondering, do you do one-on-one courses with people? Or
I do one-on-ones.
Uh-huh.
Again, if everything pretty much, the Wisdom and Wonder Legacy Project, I'll go back to that and start there, is kind of houses everything. And in that website are the one-on-one courses. You can look them up, as you can see the different categories. But the Wisdom and Wonder Legacy Project in itself really was born out of my process of turning 60 and realizing, wow, what we need as adults who are growing older, especially as the baby boomers. It really came into play to create courses and ways for us to stay more vibrant and young at heart as we grow that way. I don't know if anybody saw the movie. I'm a big movie buff because expressive arts includes cinema. Cinema is an amazing transformative arm of the arts, I believe. And there's a movie called Benjamin Button, where he actually ages the backwards way. As he came into the world, he was born old and he got younger and younger. I love that image because I see us, even though our bodies are going to age, look physically older, we're going to get younger and younger inside, from the inside out. And that is really the Wisdom and Wonder Legacy Project is about, nurturing and cultivating a community of people who really get that drift and want to be on board creating it together, because that's how it expands. That's how it grows, is when we're feeding the energy to each other, and it starts that beautiful flow and cycle.
I love that. So yeah, you tend to see, don't you, life as a creative orchestration. I love that analogy. I love reading that.
I do, because I like living that way. It's like I'm a child, so it's like being excited at Christmas. And this is how I relate it. There's a lot of more of the new thought movement is about how to manifest, how to create what you want. Well, I learned early along, well, I can create what I want, but then is that really what I want? And once I got it, it's like, oh, is that really what my heart desires? So now I just know that already. So I go, instead of going to the thought, because you can think about what you want to have happen or create, but you can also feel it. And feelings are more core, deeper vibration. So they actually resonate out And they may give you a variety of things that you may ask for a red car, and that's going to be way limited compared to who knows what you'll get if you
Yes.
just feel into
Yes.
the energy.
I
And it's
love it.
always a
I
surprise.
love it.
And I've discovered that it is an orchestration that is beyond even what I can imagine.
Because if we just open up and say yes, things can come to us and manifest that we didn't even dream of. It's
a lot simpler.
Yes.
You know, I like to say I'm kind of spiritually lazy. It's much easier to just go to the feeling level and feel it and radiate that, because we do. Here, I'll give you one little secret. We do have the power to feel whatever we want. We can generate the feelings we want. However, it's very hard to do that if we are resisting any feeling, any of those feelings that we just haven't wanted to go touch. They're gonna create, because energy in motion, emotion is energy in motion, and nature's energy is moving high and it's vibrating fast, and it's basically not gonna let you create something over the top of something else. You've got to be able to have the space, which means you've got to be able to feel into the feeling that you haven't wanted to feel into, so that something new can come out of it. And you can then kind of project out there what you want to come back to you.
This is so fantastic. I love it. We have about 2 minutes left, dear. What words do you want to share with everyone? I know.
Wow, that was amazing. I actually talked a lot. Okay, well, what I want to share with you is, you know, if you're up for an adventure, come see what we're up to. If you're up to doing your older age differently, come see what we're up to, because we don't even know what we're up to, and we're not going to get to know until the people who show up who want to be part of it are here, and we get to see what we can create together, because I do believe something really interesting is on the horizon for all of us.
Oh, I love it. This is so exciting. And I am so excited for the course that you're starting that's beginning this month. Please share with everyone one more time how they can reach you and sign up.
Everything
for the course
you need to find will be on wisdom-wonder.com. That's wisdom, some people say dash, wisdom-wonder.com. And on there, you can search around and explore, and you'll find everything that we offer.
Oh, this is so exciting. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful inspiration and wisdom. Oh, I'm just honored to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Paula. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. You're a great host and a great interviewer.
Thank you. To everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you for joining us today. Ningay, thank you. Love, hugs, and blessings. We are going to have to chat again one day.
To all of you.